You're listening to the weekly Parsha Podcast with Ari Goldwag, recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in Ramat Beit Shemesh, Israel, 5785, 2025. This week's Parsha is Parsha Nitsavim, and in our Parsha, we have the famous pasuk, which has become a song, Ki karoi ve'elecha hadavar ma'od, b'ficha v'levavcha la'asosoi. This matter is very close to you. It's in your mouth, it's in your heart to do it. And as always, I'd like to have some context before we get into the Medrash and read the Psukim. Psukim say in chapter 30, verse 11, Perek Lamed Pasuk Yud Aleph, Ki ha-mitzvah hazois asher anochi mitzavcha hayom. This mitzvah that I'm commanding you today, this mitzvah, which is either the mitzvah of tshuva or it's the general concept of the Torah, all of the mitzvahs, all of the commandments that I'm commanding you today, don't think that it's too wondrous from you. It's not distant from you. It's not in the heavens. It's not far away. It's not something that someone needs to fly up to the moon, Neil Armstrong, and make one giant leap for mankind, bring it back and teach it to us so that we can do it. It's not on the other side of the sea. It's not something that requires great sacrifice in order to find. It might be it requires great sacrifice to do, but the concepts of the Torah and the spirituality of the Torah and the connection to Hashem, it's not something that's far away. It's very close to you. This matter is very, very close. In your mouth and in your heart to do it. In your mouth and in your heart to do it. So I just want to point out, it says in your mouth and in your heart. It says both aspects of the heart, which classically is our emotions and our thoughts. And it's in our mouth. It's something that we speak about. And as we're going to see in the Medrash, speaking about ruchnius is something that comes from our hearts. It's within us. It's something that we can find inside of ourselves. And it's also something that comes out through our expression, through our speech. I'd like to share with you a few midrashim, two different pieces in the Medrash. The first one is like this. First, it speaks about the concept of someone, it's close to you. It's not too difficult. It's not too hard. It's easy to make a mistake. The Medrash brings a pasuk. It says in Mishlei, Perek Chavdal, pasuk Zayin, Romais le'evel chochmos, b'shar le'yiftach piu, that when a fool comes and he wants to enter into the gates of Torah, he wants to enter into the gates to find a life of spirituality. So he approaches it, he sees it as something very lofty and high, and as he goes through the gates, he doesn't have the ability to open his mouth. Says the Medrash, Rabbanan Amri hatipish hazeh nichnas lebeis hakneses, v'reyo yisanois k'matera. The fool walks into the shul. He walks into the Beis HaMedrash, and he sees everybody sitting and learning. He sees everyone studying spiritual ideas. And he asks them, how do you start? I'm new here. I've never done this before. How do you start to learn the Torah? So they tell him an overwhelming list of things to do. First you read Tanakh, you read the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, you read the Nevi'im, you read all of the prophets, you read the Ksuvim, all the writings. Once you've finished all of the Torah Shebiksav, Shonas Talmud. You gotta learn all of the Gemara, all of the tractates of the Talmud, to finish all of Shas. And you gotta learn Shulchan Aruch. Gotta learn the laws. And then you need to learn the Medrash. You need to know everything. You need to learn Kabbalah, which I think is included in Agodos. Person hears this, the fool hears this. He says in his heart, When am I going to do it? How am I going to do that? Who has time for all of that? How much time will it take? He leaves the gate. So he stands at the gate, he asks what to do. He's overwhelmed by the immensity of the task, and he turns away. Heavy b'shar yiftach piu. That's what it means in the pasuk that we quoted in Mishlei, which is in chapter 24, verse 7, which says that the fool, when he gets to the gate, he doesn't open his mouth. So, it's understandable. It's understandable. It sounds like an impossible task. How are you supposed to learn so much? How are you supposed to, where are you supposed to find the time for that? Rav Yanai says, you know what this is like? You see that there's a piece of bread, a loaf of bread hanging from a telephone pole, from a telephone wire. Okay? A fool says, how can I get there? It's impossible. It's out of reach. But the wise person says, it's hanging there, somebody obviously put it there. Maybe either brings a ladder or he brings a stick and he gets it down. There's inherent in the fact that it's there, it's in front of you, is that it's possible to get there. So the fool says, when will I possibly be able to learn everything? You should be kech ma'ois, but a wise person, what does he do? He doesn't look at the whole task as if he has to do it all in one go. He brings a ladder. He starts climbing the ladder, one rung at a time. The first day, he learns one chapter of the Torah. He does it consistently, every single day until he completes the entire Torah. And I'll point out in the pasuk it says, the commandment that I'm commanding you today is just about today. If I'm overly focused on the result, on even the whole picture, and I do need to have a vision, but I gotta be focused on today, what I can do today. If I'm overly focused on the big picture, it can overwhelm me and I can say, how am I gonna ever get there? I gotta be ready to go through a process. One rung and then another rung. One step and another step. Climbing the ladder of Torah. Climbing the ladder of spirituality. Hashem says, the Torah is not too wondrous, it's not too difficult, it's not too far, it's not beyond you. The Measure says a beautiful drasha, it says, which literally means it's not too far from you. But we're saying, it's not too far. And if it is too far, it's from you. It's something that you decide. Because you don't get involved in it. You're afraid it's too big for you. Take small steps. Take small bites. One day, and then another day, one rung, and then another rung. Climb up the ladder of Torah. That's what it means. This mitzvah, the Torah, is not too difficult. It's not too far. It requires effort. It requires consistency. And you gotta bring that ladder, and you gotta climb it up. Okay, so that's the first concept I want to share with you today, that the Torah is something, and spirituality is something that is accessible to us. Something that you just gotta start talking. I think it's very interesting, as I think we'll see in the continuation, that it's connected to beficha. It's in your mouth. You've heard this idea from me before, but it's a very foundational idea, that when it comes to speaking words and hearing, the way that we experience, the way that we learn is different than seeing. You say seeing is believing. When you see a picture, you see everything at once. Right? You're looking at this picture, you can see a lot of information. You don't even have to, per se, go through the process of understanding. You see there's a fence behind me. You see there is some leaves next to me. You see the wall behind me. There's a whole picture. There's a person in front. We look at a face. We see eyes, nose, mouth, ears, hair, etc. we don't really think of it, but you see all of the information at once. When it comes to speaking and hearing, so you have one word, and then another word, and then another word, and then another word. And as the words continue, you start to get a picture based on a linear type of learning. It's not all at once, but it's one after the other. And then when the sentence is completed, the thought is completed, and you understand the whole picture. There's a beficha here. You want the Torah, you want a relationship with Hashem, it's one piece at a time. Just like when you're speaking, you say one word at a time. I can't say, Hashem can say all that Sarah said at one moment, but human beings can't do that. We have to hear or speak one word at a time. And then when the words are completed, when the sentence is completed, the concept comes together. That's beficha uvilvavcha. And I would say that a person in their heart can have a picture without words per se. Can have a concept or a feeling that expresses, it's almost like looking at a picture. And then the words, as we'll see, are mechatech, the words define, and they lay out, they unravel, or they express the concept one by one word at a time, until the concept is completed. Davar acher, the Medrash brings another pasuk. Pasuk says, Ki chaim heim l'maitzeihem. The Torah is life for those who are motzeihem, which to me sounds like to those who find it, but that's not what it means. It says the Medrash, L'mi shemoitzi on mipiv. There is a bringing out with one's mouth. In regards to the Torah, as we've just been speaking about, the Torah gives life to a person as the person gets the words out of his mouth. Just having a concept of Torah or thinking about Torah is not enough. It needs to be something that is spoken about, that comes down into the world and is expressed fully. Medrash says a very interesting story. There was a story, there was a happening with a student of Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, that he was quickly going through all of his studying, all of his learning, in one moment, or an hour. He would just ponder and think about the learning, and he could quickly go through the learning, and he wouldn't say anything with his mouth. He would just think the learning. One time he got sick, and he forgot all of his studying. He forgot all that he had learned. Migarmle says the Medrash, what caused this? What was the spiritual message to him why this happened? It's because he didn't speak it out with his mouth. Just thinking and learning is a nice thing, it's a beautiful thing, but you have to bring it down all the way to its full expression by speaking it out, by saying the words of Torah. He hadn't done that, and therefore his Torah was forgotten. It was in his mind, and it was out of his mind. Now what happened? An interesting thing happened. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, his teacher, he prayed for him. And praying, as the Marzu points out, I think he says it, or he says a similar idea, praying is about being machatech befiv. It's like I have a certain feeling. Adam marchele, we say in the davening on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. A person has the whole system of the heart. The human being has that feeling, has desires, has wants, has needs. The expression of it, the beauty of the expression is something that you need siyata d'shma, you need heavenly assistance to be able to bring it down to fully express it. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov employed the concept of prayer, which is an expression of my needs. He prayed on behalf of his student. And as a result of his prayer, which means he brought back the concept of completion, of speaking it out, of praying, not just what's in his heart, saying it out. As a result of that prayer, the student got back that which he had studied and forgotten. it was returned to him. The information came back to him. Very interesting story. So what do we learn from here? We see that you want to learn Torah. Number one, you got to climb the ladder. One piece at a time, and another piece at a time. But that's also expressed in the completion of speaking it out, of bringing it down all the way to full expression in this world through speech. The Medrash gives another related explanation and says that the Torah is life for those who are moitzehem, lemim shemamtziosam. What does it mean? To whom is their life in regards to Torah? It's to somebody who completes them. Right? There's a concept here of completion, of bringing something all the way down. It doesn't mean, per se, learning every single thing that there is in the Torah. That's something that's completed through a tremendous effort and a lot of time. But there's another aspect of completion. There's an aspect of completion of speaking it out, but there's another aspect of completion now that the Medrash is saying, which has to do with trying to get in every single mitzvah that you can. If there's a mitzvah of Trumas and Maisus in Eretz Yisrael, get that mitzvah. There's a mitzvah of putting on talis and tefillin, put on talis and tefillin. There's a mitzvah of getting married, having children, do that mitzvah. There's a mitzvah of giving tzedakah, do that mitzvah. Chesed, kindness, do that mitzvah. Mitzvah of building a sukkah, do the mitzvah. There are 613 ways that we can complete ourselves, that we can have a relationship with Hashem, these amazing opportunities of the mitzvahs. Do them all. Get a sense of completion. Try to get as many as you can. Finish the set. Get all of the cards in the set, of the Torah set, the mitzvah set. Shminayin Shinamar Kol HaMitzvah brings a pasuk that refers to the fact that there's a concept of Kol HaMitzvah, the entire body of mitzvah. And I think that it's hinted to in our pasuk because it refers to as Ki HaMitzvah Hazois. It's referring to the entire Torah as one mitzvah. There's an aspect of putting together all of the pieces, all of the parts, all of the completion of what a Jew looks like. What a Oved Hashem looks like, someone who serves God. What does that look like? You gotta have the whole picture. You gotta put together all the pieces of the puzzle. Then you have the mitzvah. You have the completion of the command of Hashem. And what's the end of the pasuk? Ma'u kol ha-mitzvah ad shedechala kol ha-mitzvahs. It means until you've completed every single one of the mitzvahs. L'chol b'sari marpeh, the end of the pasuk says that it cures all of his flesh. The 248 limbs that he has. Besides for it being a completion in the Torah itself and all of the commandments, so each of the 613 commandments corresponds to the different parts of the human body, which our sages say there are 613 different limbs and sinews in the human body. 365 Ramache Vorim, 248 limbs, different parts, fingers, hands, toes, etc. 248 different limbs, and 365 Gidim, sinews. And they correspond to each of the commandments of the Torah. So, if you've completed the entire Torah, you've become a complete person. You've become a whole mensch, a whole person. So we're bringing things to completion. We're bringing things all the way down. We're bringing it down through our speech. We're bringing it down through our seeking to complete to do all of the mitzvahs of the Torah. Davar acher, one last idea in the Medrash, which is also related. Ki ha-mitzvah hazois, Omer b'chi barabba kol mi shemaschil b'mitzvah in a gomer gom shikbar yishta yuvanav. Medrash says something very profound, very hard to understand, but it's important to understand what is the concept of completion. Medrash says there's a concept here of completion that if a person begins doing a commandment, and he doesn't bring it all the way through, he doesn't bring that initiative to its completion, finish the mitzvah. You started it, complete it. So we find as a principle in the Torah that when a person starts a mitzvah and doesn't complete it, doesn't bring it to its natural end, so the Medrash tells us that such a person causes his wife and children to be buried. He's going to end up burying them. He loses his family, heaven forbid. And if we think about it, the family is the completion of the person. Person has a wife, he has children. That's the expression of that person in the world. This is where his future lies. What's left of a person after the person dies? Not very much. But what he does leave over is his legacy is his kids, his future generations. That's his legacy. So if a person doesn't complete the spiritual legacy of the Torah, you start a mitzvah, you don't complete it, so he loses the opportunity to have a physical legacy, which is expressed in his wife and kids. We learn this from Yehuda. And let's also notice that Yehuda lost his wife and kids, but then he ended up having more kids and having a future through them. But let's look at for the moment, Yehuda started a mitzvah but didn't complete it. What was the mitzvah? When Yosef came to his brothers and they wanted to kill him, they said, let's go and let's kill Yosef. When he came to check on them in Shechem, Yehuda didn't let them. He stood up, he said, we're not going to kill him. He said, how can we do that? How can we kill our own brother? The brothers listened to Yehuda because he was the king over them. Yehuda was the leader of his brothers. He said, don't kill him. They didn't kill him. They listened. So he started the mitzvah of saving his brother. If he would have said to them, let's bring him back to his father. Let's not sell him. If he would have finished it properly, they would have listened. But since he started the mitzvah and he didn't complete it, after Yosef is sold, the Torah tells us the story of how he got married and he had kids, and then his wife died, and then his boys died, his sons died. What was that as a result of? Because he tells us his wife died, his sons died. What was it as a result of? It was as a result of the fact that he didn't complete the mitzvah. And I'll point out that Lamaisa, in the end, what happens? What happens is he stands up for Binyamin. He stands up when Yosef wants to take Binyamin. He completes the mitzvah. He stands up and he says, take me in his place. So Yehuda gets back to the point of completion. And Lamaisa, he marries Tamar. He has Peretz and Zerach from Tamar. And ultimately, who's his great-great-grandchild going to be? It's going to be Dovid Hamelech, King David. It's going to be Mashiach, which is the ultimate completion. Right? Dovid Hamelech is the sweet singer. Speaking of completion, Dovid Hamelech creates with his mouth beautiful songs. He creates with his pen beautiful poems to Hashem, which we say Tehillim, the Psalms, to this very day. So Yehuda does complete things. He has a point in time where he didn't complete, where he started the mitzvah, didn't complete it, but ultimately he does stand up and complete. He does stand up on behalf of the children of Rachel. He stands up for Binyamin. And he rejoins with Yosef again. And ultimately, his grandson, those that come from his children are the ones who will ultimately complete the world. They'll be the ones to complete the world. And it's very interesting. I'm just thinking, as I'm saying it, the Rabbi Nachman in his story is a story about the warrior and the Baal Tefillah, the prayer leader. And the warrior is Mashiach ben Yosef, and the prayer leader is Mashiach ben David. He refers to Mashiach, who comes from David, as the one who leads the prayers. Right? As we saw before, the prayer, someone who prays with their mouth, takes the concept of emotion and brings it out to completion in Kabbalah. So the mouth corresponds to the concept of Malchus. Malchus is completion, right? Shabbos is called Malchus. We have Shabbos Hamalka. We have the Queen of Shabbos. It's the completion. It's the bringing of the 6 days of action, which we have all this movement and all of this goings on. It's brought to completion on Shabbos. It's the day that we daven to Hashem, we sing Zmiras to Hashem. A lot that has to do with our mouths. So the concept here is a beautiful concept, and we're coming into Rosh Hashanah, which is the Malchus of Hashem. We're going to crown Hashem our King. And how do we do it? Through our prayer, through our tefillah. We speak it out. We say it. We got to say it, right? Don't we already know? Hashem is our King. Don't we think about it all the time? We say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad every day. But, Tishrei is the 7th month. Just like Shabbos is the 7th day of the week. Nisan is the 1st month. Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av, Elul, Tishrei. Tishrei is the 7th month. It's the Shabbos. Tishrei is, we have Rosh Hashanah, we have Yom Kippur, we have Sukkot. It's a stepping back from all of our actions, all of our movement. It's a stepping back as we're walking into a Shabbos. And the month starts with a Shabbos of Malchus, of making Hashem our King. Making Hashem our King. Saying it out. Hamelech. Hashem is our King. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the completion. We're going to talk about V'yesoychol liavdecha. How we're all going to join together to serve Hashem as one. We're going to have the time of Mashiach, the completion. We're talking about Mashiach on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. It's about completion. It's about Hashem's Malchus, when Hashem will manifest in the world. This is how we bring down Hashem into the world. Through our speech, through our mitzvahs, through the cutting, the defining, the one day at a time, one rung at a time, climbing the ladder of Torah, getting one word and another word, one chapter and another chapter, one concept and another concept, until it builds into that beautiful picture. We're waiting 6,000 years. From the beginning of time, 5,785, we're now going to the year 5,786. And we're waiting for that moment of completion. We're waiting when all the pieces come together, all the bricks that we've created with our mitzvahs, all the bricks of the Beis Hamikdash, until they finally form that physical place in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem, where we will have that relationship with Hashem. Hashem will be manifest, where the completion will occur. And what do we do there? We sing there. We sing the songs of Dovid Hamelech, King David, the beautiful speech, the beautiful completion of Dovid Hamelech. And who sings it? The Levim, the Levites, who are also an aspect of this speech, of completion. And what's there in the Beis Hamikdash? We have the Korbanos, of course we have the sacrifices, and we have the Sanhedrin. We have the ultimate arbiters of the Torah, who decide and tell us what is it that Hashem's will is for us. The Lishkas Hagazis, the place of the hewn stone where they would sit. It's hewn, it's defined, it's clear, it's brought down, the will of Hashem. And in the center of it, of the Mishkan, of the Beis Hamikdash, is the Aron HaBris, the Torah, which defines for us clearly, word by word, exactly what it is that Hashem wants from us. I want to bless you, and I ask you to bless me. Hashem should help us, that we should have a beautiful year. We should be able to define for ourselves what our relationship with Hashem looks like. It should be clear to us. We should build one brick, one rung, one on top of the other, until we have all of those words through our tefillah, through our mitzvahs, through the completion of the Torah, through starting a mitzvah and completing it. We should have that full completion. We should be zeichet to aksiva v'chasima tova. Have a beautiful Shabbos and a sweet New Year.
This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.